What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, AQUA Life Baby, you already know. And I'm here to finally bring you guys an update to my Maelstrom Stride deck. Now, the reason why I'm bringing you guys this deck before my undefeated Savas deck, in which I used to win the DMV Dynasty Cup with, is because you guys have been very patient and you've been asking for an update to this deck. The reason why I have delayed bringing this deck out is because I didn't want to put out a deck or a product that I was not sold on. As you guys know, I believe that Maelstrom is the hardest deck to build in Aqua Force because this is the old school on hit pressure deck, which has a different play style than some of the the newer decks like Savas and things like that. By play style, I mean transitioning from different attack patterns and setting up your opponent for that fourth battle on hit skill, because that's what the deck is built around. It's built around Maelstrom's ability to hit on the fourth battle and for you to gain a really massive plus. And obviously we have Lambros, that is true, but there are some times where you will not be able to stride in Lambros, or you don't need to pull the Lambros trigger too early. So you want to definitely have your Maelstrom skills ready to fall back on, because that's what this deck is built around. Now, I have been working with a lot of different builds, a lot of different cards, because there are a lot of different directions that you can go with this deck. But I'm trying to reach, my level of comfortability and consistency that I usually look for in Aqua Force. That being the ability to, consistently reach the fourth battle, pressure, ability to prevent yourself from overextending, and also the ability to have a pretty decent recover game against decks that generally inherently counter us, like Narukami, Kagero, and now Gear Chronicle. Especially the way that my meta is, it's Gear Chronicle, Kagero, and Narukami heavy. So I'm definitely building my deck to go up against those types of decks, because my field formation is usually not going to ever be perfect, so I gotta build the deck in a way that can combat the type of meta that I face on a daily basis. And just like all my decks, despite their win-loss record, my win-loss record with the decks, I'm always looking for different ways to improve, and this deck is no exception. Same with my undefeated Savas deck. There's no exception. I will always find another way to improve upon it, because there's always room for improvement. So without further ado, let's get into deck profile. I'll show you what I'm working with and what I'm thinking about changing up, and what you guys can also do within the deck to change up, because again, like I said, this deck does have a lot of versatility. Alright guys, so starting off, our starting Vanguard is still Officer Cadet, Bluestorm Cadet Marios. On hit, third battle, search the top 5 for Maelstrom. I believe he's the best starter for Maelstrom right now, because Andre is cool enough, but he's Generation Break. This guy searches out your Maelstroms, which is potential stride fodder and rear guard tagging fodder. Plus, your opponent does not like when you search out cards that you could ride as well. So he's definitely a really good card for some early game on hit pressure. We run 4 heal triggers, and I've changed the build up to 5 draw triggers. Now I'm flirting between 4 to 5 and possibly 6 draw triggers, because this deck does need this deck doesn't have as good of a recovery as Savas does against the Gear Chronicles and Narakamis of the world. So I put the extra draw trigger in just to try and speed the deck up a little bit. Obviously, hoping I do hit it. 4 of the Maelstrom crit triggers. This crit trigger is really good because we do play Glory Maelstrom. I have been able to get the ability off with Glory Maelstrom, like the unblockable attack. So this is definitely a good card. Even if you're not on Glory Maelstrom, it's a trigger. It's a crit trigger that does shuffle back into the deck, and it gives us some guard manipulation. And then last but not least, I run these. Now, I'm only running 2 of these because these are like the only last 2 I have. But this is a good card because we are running High Tide Sniper, and we can throw this, gives us extra soul, unflips the counterblast, and allows us to continue different plays. All right, and for grade 1, guys, we are starting off with, I have 2 copies of the Limit Break Enabler now. Domino Paris 21 and I both sat down with each other and we were working on our builds, and we did come up with a similar build. And I've been doing some more testing with the Limit Break Enabler, and you know, these cards are only good if you see them, because sometimes, you know, against Nova Grapplers and other things, you're pressured into late game, and you know, these guys don't really do too much late game, so I am considering taking them out of the deck for other cards for better utility. But right now, that's what I'm working with right now. 4 heal triggers, because you need heal triggers in this format really badly. And I'm not running Plato, the unflipping Perfect Guard in this deck, because again, Kagro the Cross is still prevalent in my meta, and I do not want my opponent plussing. Plus, I do feel as if, again, I have a good handle on my counterblast, so I'm going for more versatility, you know, over the need to help unflip. And I'm running 4 stride enablers because this deck is mostly focused on striding, you know, being able to stride into Admiral, Maelstrom, into Lambros to finish off games. So this deck has more of a stride focus rather than a limit break focus. And 2 copies of Stacia. Now, I'm thinking about bumping her up to 3 because, like I said, with Thavas, she is one of the key cards that helps me win a lot of the games, and especially, you know, being able to control my opponent's front line. So she's definitely a good card. 6k booster or not, she's still a good card because she swings for 9k from the back row. And right now I'm teching in 1 copy of Battle Siren Orthea. She's actually a really good unit. She went, you know, for a Counterblast 1 and a Soul Blast, you know, the unit that she boosts becomes a Tidal Assault, so she restands it and gives it minus 5k. But she also has the Resist ability, which is really good against Gear Chronicle and Kagro for their pinpoint retiring skills. Now, obviously, Diablo is out now and things like that, but I don't worry about that too much, because I'm only running 1 copy of her. But again, her number might increase, you know, with more testing. Alright guys, now the grade 2 lineup is one of those areas where I am battling certain things, so if there's a change that you guys might want to suggest, please let me know down in the comment section below. But let me show you which I'm working with. So right now I'm running 2 copies of High Tide Sniper. I really love this card, especially by playing my Thavas deck. This guy is just amazing. 3rd battle, a Generation Break. For 1 Soul Blast, again, turning our soul into a weapon, he gains an extra 10,000 power, making him 19k. You put a Malika on him, that is a 22k High Tide Sniper. He's just a really good card overall, and welcome addition to my deck. Now, I am running 2 copies of Magnum Assault. Now, the reason why I'm running 2 copies of Magnum Assault, I was running the 12k attacker for Blue Storms over this, but the reason why I put him in is because I found that I was not able to consistently reach the 4th battle. I only had about 9 or 10 units that were in my deck to help me reach the 4th battle, and some of my games that I was playing and playtesting in, I was damage checking some of them, and then I had to keep count in my head, okay, I had to ride Tidal Assault and I damage checked a Rascal Sweeper, so now I'm down to, you know, 8 4th battle enablers out of, you know, like the last 38 cards in my deck. So 30 of my cards in my deck are, you know, non 4th battle enablers. So I'm adding him in to increase the count of 4th battle enablers in my deck, so I'm able to more easily reach it. 4 copies of Tidal Assault, because Tidal Assault is just an amazing card. He's free. He's great for early rush, for early pressure plays, especially getting to 3 battles so that your Vanguard can swing with Marios, and you have the chance to be able to search out a Maelstrom either to ride, stride, or attack with. So he's just an amazing card, stapler for. And again, we do play Lambros, obviously, and him during the Lambros plays, the combos you can pull off is kind of nasty. And then 4 copies of Rascal Sweeper, probably one of the best grade 2s to ever come out for a Maelstrom deck. He's an 11k attacker if you have a Maelstrom Vanguard, and he is a Basil that swings for 11k at the Vanguard and then protects himself by switching with the unit and putting himself in the back row. As you guys know, for a long time I've always preached that these types of cards are just really good because they're able to protect themselves. Now, you know, some decks nowadays can now reach into the back row and hit things, but this guy still has a good protection method against, you know, other attacks. So obviously we're going to be definitely running for this guy. Too good. All right, and for the grade 3 lineup, we are running 4 copies of Blue Storm Dragon Maelstrom, you know, my OG. The reason why we're running 4 copies of Maelstrom is because this deck is focused more so on the cross ride and gaining that 13k defense as well. Now, I was thinking about cutting him for another Maelstrom reverse or, you know, something along those lines, but I do like to go cross ride a little bit early because I believe that, you know, my boy Black Steve, he did bring up this point, which is really good, was that cross rides can come back in this meta. Like, a lot of people I see nowadays have been playing brawlers, especially at a lot of the ARG events, and brawlers have been tearing things up. You know, that 13k base, being able to hit a whole field. You know, I at least want to take some of that and get that nice 13k defense so that I don't have to use as much shielding to guard certain attacks, and hitting a trigger on damage can put me out of the range of the 16 and 17k columns. So definitely a direction that I do like to go with this deck. 2 copies of Glory Maelstrom. We're running Glory Maelstrom not only because of the crit trigger, but because he's also Maelstrom's unit. He's there to help finish off games, and again, for the cross ride. This deck is this, you know, he works better with crit triggers, so this style of the deck, you know, fits him, you know, pretty nicely. And we are also running 2 copies, excuse me, of Maelstrom Reverse. Now, Maelstrom Reverse, as you guys know, I love this card to death. You know, on the 4th battle, when he attacks, you counterblast 1, lock a standing Aqua Force rear guard. He gains 5k and extra crit, and if he does not hit, then you get to draw 1 and choose a card on their field and retire it. He and Maelstrom both work better with stand triggers, I believe, but you know, the way my meta is and how things are, stand triggers are not as strong as they used to be. Now, I do have a stand version of the deck. You know, I can definitely show you guys a stand version of the deck. I do have that build, but right now, you know, 2 copies of him is nice. Again, you know, being able to cross ride a little bit early sometimes is always, it's nice to have that 13k body so that you can save more shielding in hand and not expend too much. But yeah, all right, on to the grade 4 or stride. All right, guys, so for our strides, now the stride lineup is very, very versatile, and you can go different directions with this. So right now my lineup is 4 copies of Blue Storm, Martial Dragon, Admiral Maelstrom. He is the new Maelstrom that we got out of Fighters Collection 2015. Now what he does is, if he hits a Vanguard, and if it's the 4th battle of that turn or more, you get to counterblast 1, flip a copy up of him, and your opponent selects 3 of their rear guards, and for each Maelstrom face up, they choose 1 of them to retire. So if you have 3 of him face up, then you pretty much get to kill off 3 units. Now, another thing is you also get to draw. So you also get to draw in addition to that. So again, striding on him is like, okay, I'm at Maelstrom with Limit Break, but I don't have that exact pinpoint retire that Maelstrom does have, but I'm swinging for a higher power, I'm getting a draw off, and I have the ability to force my opponent to make some bad decisions, especially with him being able to eat up counterblasts, or no, excuse me, not counterblasts, eat up perfect guards. You know, the more copies of him that are face up, the better. So when one actually hits, you know, we're plussing really hard off of that in terms of field advantage and one-to-hand. Now, you can also run title board. Title board also provides a really nice option, and I am, again, flirting with maybe running 2 Maelstrom and 2 title board, 3 Maelstrom, 1 title board. Now you guys know what title board does. He's the trial deck one when he attacks on the 3rd battle. So again, with these 4th battle mechanics, guys, sometimes it forces you, like, dang, I'm on Maelstrom, I'm on Admiral Maelstrom, and I need to hit 4 battle. I need him to attack on the 4th battle, but that means that I might have to call out this heal trigger of mine just to swipe so I can hit 4 battles. This guy allows you, prevents you from having, needing to overextend to 4 battles. He keeps it at a nice 3rd battle to hit, and if he does hit, you get to draw a card and then choose whether or not you would like to go into a 4th battle. Now, obviously, over Thavas, this guy is really nice. And in this deck, it's kind of nice, too, because sometimes you don't want to overextend. You might have a Rascal Sweeper column, and you have your Vanguard column, and you don't really have another attacker or anything that you feel comfortable with, especially if your hand is low and, you need as much shielding as possible, especially depending on the deck you're playing against. This guy can definitely come in handy over him because he does kind of force you to overextend a little bit just so he can hit for the 4th battle. So it is personal preference. It is up to you whether you want to run these two. We also have Socrates, but I'm not a big fan of Socrates. He actually, let me go get him. Alright guys, so this is Socrates. It's pretty much when your unit attacks a Vanguard, if it's the 3rd battle of that turn or more, you can counterblast 1 and give it 5k. So you can do this thing as much as you want, but they only keep 5k until the end of the battle. I'm not the biggest fan of this guy. I will try him out in the deck because it could, work, but I'm just not really the biggest fan of this guy. It seems, his skill has been a little lackluster, and in the tournament, I actually never went into him. I never really went into him. I went for more of the Title Board Plus or Blizza to get me to GB2 than this guy. Alright guys, and last but not least, Marine General of the Heavenly Silk, Lambie Bambi, Lambros. This guy pretty much won me more or less all of my games except that one game I won on title board when I was able to double crit my opponent. He's just too good of a card. Everybody calls him Lambroke, but he's literally the finisher that Aqua Force has needed. He makes our poke attacks worth it. Being able to poke 9 at things and restand, and now they're at 19k with abilities to once again restand is really nice. He's literally, guys, he is the finisher that we have longed for, and we finally got him, and he's worth every penny. Like if you're buying a playset of him, then thumbs up to you because he is definitely worth every penny. If you guys don't know, now another thing is you can actually go into him first. You can stride into Lambros first. Your rear guards, when you swing with him on the 4th battle, your rear guards will not get the 10k when he restands them, but he still restands them for 2 extra attacks, getting 6 attacks in a turn. And then that could be, especially if your opponent's pressuring to a corner. Like I was talking with Domino Paris 21, he's like, you can go into this guy because you can, if you pressure your opponent enough, you can just go into him for that extra 5 and 6 attack, and you can probably win on just a Lambros without being without having a G unit face up. But obviously, when you do stride into him, you probably want to stride into him after you've done Maelstrom because your rear guards will get that 10k. So he is just absolutely an amazing unit. There's nothing bad about him. He is probably, to me, he is the best stride in the game for what he does for the deck. Alright, but this has been the Cardfight King. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck update. Leave your comments in the section down below. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys will probably change, what you guys are actually running in your deck. And I'm open to all suggestions because, again, like I said, I'm working with a lot of different cards, a lot of different builds, and I'm just trying to find that consistency, going from reaching the 4th battle, pressure, ability to recover, and ability not to be pressured that warrants overextension. So definitely let me know, guys. But all right, this is the Cardfight King, AQUA Life Baby, and I'm out. Peace.